Security. What it in effect says is for people that are at or near retirement, above age 55, that we are going to exempt them. And we are going to deal with people and reform the system for younger folks that have time to prepare for their retirement. I think that there are issues that, like in food stamps, where there's no real asset test on that, that we can reform that and still help those that are in need. And I'd love to see more flexibility, state flexibility, in just like we did with welfare reform in 1996. And I think on a lot of the entitlement programs, in healthcare, Obamacare is going to totally destroy the budget. Any hope of ever achieving a balanced budget, period. It will erase that. And so I think that by doing healthcare reform, that it makes more sense. Where we do have a safety net, where we deal with the issues of pre-existing conditions, deal with affordability, patient-centered, market-based solutions, and deal with things like medical malpractice reform. I think that we have ways to control costs and broaden access and retain quality. And so there are solutions out there. And I think what the American people are going to find, that because the Democrats have been so demagoguing, that they're changing Medicare as we know it. Well, yeah, because it's unsustainable. And it's not going to exist as we know it. So we got to do something. So I think that as the American people see that these things aren't draconian, that we're still helping those that are in need, but that we've gone way too far in creating dependency. I think that we can do that now. The longer we wait, the more Greece-like we look, and the more dramatic the solution to navigate our way out of the debt crisis. We use flexibility. Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you talk about adding all these additional people to the welfare rolls, and especially to the food stamp program, I think there's something that a lot of people haven't taken into consideration, and that is next year we are going to have a huge food crisis on our hands, and prices are going skyrocketing high. From Nebraska east, I talked to some family members, they are plowing up their fields. There's going to be no grain, there's going to be no corn this year, they're selling off their herds. Now I've heard where the government said, oh, we better start buying up beef to give to the poor and the indigent so they'll have beef next year. Well, what about us? I mean, our food prices are going to go sky high. Grain is gone, corn is gone, beef is gone, pork is gone. A lot of areas that supply the majority of what we get aren't having any this year. It is a mess. And I don't even think we've thought about not only what our food prices are going to be, but what we're going to have to pay to give all the food stamps. And they're going to be, well, we better give them more food stamps because the price of food has gone up so much. It's going to be awful.
The issue about food stamps, let me just say that we still have this mandate for corn-based ethanol in fuel. And I think that's here we have the situation that's aggravated where we've got a supply problem. And we're diverting, and we've got a mandate yet that a certain percentage of our gasoline has to contain corn-based ethanol. And how crazy is that? And so one thing that when we go back after this recess, one thing that I'll be working on is to say, let's get that thing suspended. I think that's just great.
Looking at the economy today, we have the earners versus the takers, and the ratio between the two is what you're talking about doing.
Well, I mean the question is kind of the producers versus the consumers, and I think a lot of societies throughout the history of civilization have gone to this point that we're at now, where there are more consumers than there are producers, and I tell you, it reminds me of the kid when I was a kid. We used to play this King of the Hill game, probably illegal today. Where we wrestle each other to get to the top of the hill. That's what it feels like in Washington. And the goal is, on one side, is to say, we want over 50% of Americans not to have any federal tax liability. That's our goal. And so that the majority of Americans can essentially enact benefits and have no skin in the game. And that's our view of victory. And so I think it's a very dangerous position that we're in. That's the trend that we're going into. And what this president wants to do is shift the burden on as few as people as possible. And then, of course, demonize him. And that's his vision of a political victory. Okay, I'll just answer. Go ahead.
You talked about the election as if whoever wins, and we don't know who's going to win.
I'm sorry.
But the debates, and the one here is going to be moderated by Jim Lehrer on October 3rd, and they have lefties moderating the debates. Who chose that, and how can we fix it?
That was negotiated between, the question is on the debates, who chose the moderators. I think that was negotiated between, there's a presidential commission that does debates. I'm sure that both campaigns have input there. I tell you, the one debate that I'm going to want to see that I'd love to, I mean, I'd love a ringside seat for, is Paul Ryan. You know, it's kind of like Albert Einstein versus Homer Simpson. I'm sorry, you got the microphone. Yeah. I'm going to defer to our president, our club president. Okay.
It's been reported basically that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau levied a $175 million fine on Wells Fargo based on a statistical analysis of the mortgages that they were discriminating. And this is kind of the same thing that got us into 2008, the tech crisis. But it concerns me from a larger standpoint because here we have an unelected, unaccountable bureaucracy essentially making the laws, then acting as judge and jury, collecting fines, and not only that, this money is going to be donated to Acorn, essentially, if they can't find a victim. That's the way they structure it. I know you guys are kind of in triage mode, but is this on your radar at all?
Well, I think that the question is about the Consumer Protection Bureau. That's a creation of Dodd-Frank. And let me just say about Dodd-Frank that, so here we have, no question, we have a country in 2008 went into a financial crisis. And so if you ask somebody like Marty Frank, what is the origin of the financial crisis, he'll just tell you it's Wall Street. And we need to punish Wall Street. But if you look at the origin of the financial crisis, Marty Frank has fingerprints all over it. Subprime lending. Let's put as many Americans as we can into homes that they can't afford. And let's push subprime lending. And then, of course, those were securitized and sold in the secondary market to institutional investors and misrated as AAA investments, and the whole thing just fell apart. But it was government policies that pushed that. And so what do we get in Dodd-Frank? Too big to fail? Hey, if the financial institution is too big to fail, it's too big to exist. And in my view, I tell you what, I think that what this administration does through Dodd-Frank is they're making the bigger banks bigger at the expense of smaller financial institutions. And I got to tell you, I think I'm for Glass-Steagall, the reinstitution of Glass-Steagall. I believe that we ought to break up. Commercial and investment banking should not be together in the same institution. We ought to break it up. And but I'll certainly take a look at that issue. And I'm not familiar with it, but I'll take a look at it. I know that obviously a lot of crazy things going on. Yeah.
Mike, I heard a new line. I heard a new line from Barack Obama, which caught my attention. He said in some speech somewhere that the Republicans want to save the economy from the top down. And he said, I think we need to save the economy from the middle out. And I think that's a new approach that is going to be taken towards the so-called class warfare. And I think it's going to have a lot of appeal because, you know, the folks know who are taking casualties in the class warfare, and it's not the folks at the top. So I'm wondering, how do you respond?